Last episode we worked on the red section of the colour wheel base, and I am very pleased with how it turned out. But in this episode we will be returning to designing farms. Now, between episodes I have been working on this villager setup. It wasn't difficult to get them here and nothing interesting happened. None of them died, so there was no footage to show. But I've started collecting up some villagers. These were the two that I had originally for mending and unbreaking. We've started getting some farmers for the basic pumpkin and melon trades. And if we come up here, I've just built this very basic farm. This is not part of the Colourlympics. I might try to build an automated farm with some kind of competition in mind, but for now I'm just manually gathering these. I do enjoy villagers, but I'm very kind of boring and methodical and slow with them. So yeah, there was nothing really to show there. Now we did get a zombie here as well, so I am able to do the conversions, and I gathered some supplies to convert them as well. So I'm in a pretty decent position with these here. But it is not villager stuff that we'll be doing in today's episode. Now, if you recall, I've been building farms this season where I try and get 8 colours to compete against each other. So like in this sheep farm, we are simply counting how much wool we get, and that is the score for that colour. And this cactus farm here, we nominated 1 cactus for each colour, and that is triggering a dropper, which gives each colour a score. So in the end, we have these 2 methods of having the colours compete, but there are 2 more farms that I want to work on today. I do want to build a Dripstone Farm, which will come in a little bit, but first of all, I want to build a sugarcane farm. Now, my idea for the sugarcane farm is fairly simple. I want it all in one chunk, and if we imagine here, we will have water flowing here. And if I go 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and then we break this, the water will flow across here. It will go into a hopper here, which will be the storage for the sugarcane. And I think it'll just be 1 storage unit for all of the farm. So we won't have 8 outputs like we have in the sheep farm. It will just be everything will go into 1 output. And I think we will need some kind of tube here for them to fall in, because we will need multiple layers. For the first layer, I need this to actually be sand, so I'm going to turn that into ice again, and we will swap all of this out. And then we bring this through. This will now be 8 spawning spots for the sugarcane. So the idea here is fairly simple. We will have a row of pistons here, which we will want to all activate to push this sugarcane. And then we also want to have some observers up here, which will face this way. So now once one of these sugarcanes grows up to that level, it will activate a signal here, and then we want to power all of these pistons. And for my design, I would like all of them to be powered at the same time. So I think we will... Is it as simple as this? It's been a long time since I've built something like this. If we put some dust along here, regardless of which one of these triggers, it will trigger this dust, which will power the whole row, which will power all of these blocks and should then push these pistons. So let's say we've got some of these at 2, and then this one goes up to 3. The whole thing pushes them, and most of them will hopefully fall in the water. But as far as the colour competition goes, we don't need to worry too much about the output here. I think I want to count every pulse that we get. So every time one of the sugarcane gets to level 3, that will count as a point for the system. So rather than counting the output, it's just like, you know, the amount of times that we get to level 3 is, you know, that's the amount of successes. However, I do want to do something different with that, because from what I've found with the cactus farm is they grow very consistently, and a lot of the scores end up almost identical. I think the first time it was like a 3-way tie. So we need to come up with something different for that. and I think randomizers are going to be key. So because we know that this block is getting powered, we will be able to place a dropper here and then a hopper facing it. And this is the classic randomizer where, depending on the amount of stackable items and the amount of non-stackable items, you can create a chance of a success. So if you think of the pickaxe here as the success, we could say there is a 1 in 3 chance of a success with the way this is set up. So we can do up to a 1 in 9 chance, which I think is what we will go for. I don't know how efficient this farm will be, but I think I just want as much randomness as possible. So 1 in 9 sounds great to me. The scores will be very low, but they will also be very varied compared to the cactus farm. So if you've never seen one of these randomizers before, they are very simple. If I just get 2 dust out of here, if we put in an axe and then endstone, so now we've got a 50-50 chance of a success, and we've got a comparator reading this hopper, which is currently empty. We've got 2 dust here, and if I pull the lever here, you can see both of those redstone dusts lit up, and that is because the non-stackable item was chosen. So the way that comparators review storage items is they look at how full they are. That's kind of how I wrapped my head around how comparators work. It's not about how many items, it's about their fullness. So because this is, 1/5 full, nothing else can go in this stack. Even if I have another axe, it's not going to go into this slot here. So because this is full and it's 1/5 full, the signal, I believe, is actually a signal of 3. So we could even have an extra redstone dust here. And there you go, a signal of 3. However, if we try this again and we get the stackable item, there's room in here for another 63 items. So this hopper is almost empty, and that is why we only get the signal of 1. So the way that we can make that work for this idea of mine is we can have something that happens after the second redstone dust here. And I think all we will do for that is we will have a dropper here facing in, and we will use the colour dye of whichever section we are building. And I think all of this is still within the same chunk. Yep. I always try to make sure everything's in the same chunk. I did that with the sheep farm and the cactus farm, and that's just because I don't want to be like loading some colours but not the other colours, if that makes sense. But this is all in one chunk. I am going to build 4 layers on one side and then 4 layers on the other side. The sugarcane will all drop into the water on each layer, which will eventually drop down here into a hopper. And then we will have the droppers on either side with the dyes, which will drop them down here. And they will be very rare, and that will be our score for this farm. So it's only going to be 64 sugarcane. It's going to be a very minimal farm, but it should be enough for my needs. Okay, now you can see that I have built this on the 8 levels here. We've got the 8 colours in play. There are still a couple of bits that I need to sort. I have noticed that some sugarcane kind of lands on the side here. We can probably simulate that here. Oh no, that seemed to work for most of them. And we'll do that here. Okay, poor example. But sometimes I notice them flying too far and flying to the other side. So I was thinking it might be helpful to have something like this down the middle. So if we just put these panes down the middle here, and then if you imagine that these all hit into the side of the glass, they will all go down and into the hopper, right? So we can do something like that on all levels. I also need to do something on the front. I think I'll probably just do a glass tube on the front so that you can still see what's going on inside. And I will do the same on the back there. So we'll have some glass, it'll be fully contained, and then all of the sugarcane will end up falling down into here. I've also decided to bring these droppers in a little bit. So instead of just powering them out here, we're now going to have these droppers facing inwards, and that way we can have all the droppers in one tube here. So now we can have a barrel here, and then, oh, if I just come through here and put a hopper there, this is now our scoring barrel. And there, the farm is complete. I've put one stack of wool in each of these droppers. That should be plenty for this. We will be able to come back to this barrel to check how the scores are doing. And I just added a couple of double chests down here. I'll do something better for the storage and have some overflow protection at some point. But for now, this will definitely suffice. So now that we've completed one farm, let's turn our attention to another. So I want to build a somewhat automated dripstone farm. It doesn't need to be overpowered, but I do want to get these guys involved. You see, my idea is to have the sheep control the dripstone. So let's imagine in the center here, we have this pressure plate, and then all around we have a dripstone farm. I want the sheep to be able to jump up, push the pressure plate, which then activates the farm. Not only is that fun, kind of getting a mob involved in the actual farming process, but also that means we can kind of build a battle royale. But first, let me build up an idea of how the farm itself will work. So I doubled up the hoppers on each side, and now we have the arena fully built. Now there will be some redstone, but other than that, the ground part is done. So this is where the water is going to be, and the dripstone is going to be growing underneath. So now we can place the dripstone in. So now we're going to need pistons. So if we build this down here, I think it's actually this block. So if this grows here, actually what happens when it's like that? So if we power this piston now, what happens here? Oh, it just kind of broke off and fell down. Let's try that again. I didn't see where that went. Let's just mine all this. And then we'll place it again, and then we'll push this. Ah, look, we're already getting some growing on the ground. But still, what was it? The one that broke off that grew on the ground? Is that how that works? I like that it's falling straight down though, because we've got these two hopper lanes here. And then if it is like this, this is what we're more interested in. Because once this breaks, this should fall down as a falling block. Yeah. So that is key. So this farm is going to be quite slow, and we'll need to take that into consideration. If the pistons always activate at this level, we're never going to get any falling dripstone, and we want to have falling dripstone in this farm. But that is the right level. I need to solve this problem. I could just use buttons. So if we just had some buttons here, that should stop the growth. But it should still allow the dripstone to be picked up. Then if we look in here, we should see quite a bit of what's fallen through. Yeah. So let's just line this with buttons. We do still need to figure out what we're doing for the pistons here. So we can place them all in, but we will also need to power them. And I'm thinking we power them from above, because we could run a line of redstone along the top of here. So you imagine like this, and then if I just fly out and come back in, you will see. You see there's a gap there. So we could run a line of redstone along here, and I just want to make sure that if this gets powered, the piston powers. Yep, we might want to have some extra randomness here. Maybe we only want one side to get powered each time that that pressure plate gets powered. Sheep walks onto that pressure plate. That sends a signal up here somehow. I think I'm going to use scaffolding for that. But the signal will come up here, and then it will travel along here. Yeah, maybe we have 4 different ways that the signal can come up, but only one of those is chosen. I think I'm going to want a lot of randomness in this. So we've already shown off the dropper hopper randomizer here. I might need to build a few of these underneath this to make it so that there's actually a very small chance. Because remember, this is a 1 in 9 chance that these fire. But if you have a 1 in 9 chance leading in to another randomizer, that's also a 1 in 9 chance. That becomes a 1 in 81 chance. So maybe we have it be a 1 in 81 chance that all 4 of them fire. That might actually be the easiest way to do it. And then every time that pressure plate is pushed, there's a 1 in 81 chance that something really dramatic happens. Yeah, I think we'll go with that idea for now. And so let's build this all around. And I think this will be the start of where maybe we'll have 2 bamboo towers in the corners. And then the signal will like travel both directions from each one. So I think we can set this up now. And the way that I remember this working, I've only recently shown this to someone, so I should be able to remember how it works. So what you do is you have, let's place a dripstone here with a trapdoor on it, right? And then we place the scaffolding and we make it start on the block, not on the trapdoor. It then travels out over the trapdoor, and then we build up. And what makes this useful for redstone is that you can observe the change in this trapdoor. So if I just, in fact, let's put a piston here because that makes some noise. So if I flip this trapdoor now, you see we get the signal that activates that piston. And then if I flick it again, and you can actually see the bottom of this scaffolding has to kind of adjust the type of scaffolding it is. So when it's like this scaffolding is now the base. So every piece of scaffolding above here is above the base. And this is, you know, the best vertical redstone. You can do scaffolding up and you can do walls down. But for now, we just need to go up for this one. And we might as well use scaffolding for its intended purpose here. And then we will put an observer. Did I put that the right way? I did. So that is now going to power this block, which means if we go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 13, 14, 15. So this signal is going to travel all the way over there, which will power all of the pistons along there. And we'll do the same over here. And then we can have some scaffolding up here, which will power this line and that line. And then we will be able to power all 4 lines just using 2 of these pillars. So now we can take our redstone signal from the pressure plate up above. And if we just simply wanted it to be when the pressure plate is active, push the pistons, we would just power this block. Because if I push this on the button here, that should have activated half of the pistons. Let me actually make sure this works. There we go. So they actually activate twice, which is fine. I don't think I have any issue with that. They do activate very quickly, but I'm hoping that will be fine. Let me actually test. I make a lot of mistakes when designing things, so I've been trying more and more to test things, because you don't want to get, 80% of the way through a project only to learn that it doesn't work. But if we push this here, beautiful. I would also like to know if it does damage. So let's activate this. And then we'll take off our gear, because you've got to test it properly, haven't you? Oh! It works! Brilliant. Okay, I'm actually nearby. That's good. I'm glad I left this staircase here now. I nearly got rid of it. I guess dying on top of hoppers is not the worst thing, but I do have to wait for my items to trickle in here. Okay, so we know the dripstone is sharp enough. We know the redstone works. So now I'm just going to keep mining this out, and I will come up with some kind of randomizer idea. So again, for the randomizer, we will be using the dropper hopper method. For now, I'm thinking I will do a 1 in 20 chance. So we will still need 2 of these randomizers per section, but we're kind of putting ourselves in a position where we could make it rarer, we could make it more common. We're just kind of in that middle zone with the design that we've got. So to start with, we will have... Oh, I need to craft some shovels. I always use shovels as the non-stackable because they're just so cheap and easy to make. You've always got wood on you. If you don't always have wood on you, that is a mistake. Ender chest, wood, keep them on you at all times. But yeah, they're just so cheap and easy to make. And then this one, we will make a 1 in 5 chance. And then if that is successful, it will then power another dropper, and this one will be a 1 in 4 chance. So that means we then have a 1 in 20 chance of half of the farm triggering, but then we will build the same thing on the other side as well. So it's like every time the pressure plate is pushed, there's a 1 in 10 chance that something happens on half of the farm. I think. I think my maths is correct there, but we will see. We'll do a third there, and then we'll just have a repeater. So then when we have the success here, this will get powered, the repeater will get powered, and that will power the trapdoor, which will send the signal up there. Now, if you noticed before, we were getting 2 pulses from the pistons, and I've just realised that's because we were using a button. So when you push the button, it activates the redstone for, I think, 1.5 seconds. At the start of that, you get the first fire, and then once the button depowers, it returns back to how it was, and the observers trigger again. So that's going to be a problem here, because when we have a success, this is going to stay powered until the sheep steps off the pressure plate, and then it's going to power again. So I think I actually want to send a short pulse here. So what we will do, we will have a sticky piston here that will then send a 1-tick pulse into this, which should work. I think it will work. And so when we have a success here, it doesn't matter whether you have 2 redstone dust or 3. A failure is always 1 signal. So a success here will work. And then this block will lift up and cut off the signal, which gives us that 1-tick pulse. So let's make this a 1 in 2 chance. And let's make this a 1 in 2 chance. And then we'll test a little bit of the randomness. But we'll also see if the redstone actually works. So we stand here. Nothing happens. I should have made this out of glass. Okay, I want some feedback. Does mud give a note block sound? Oh, the harp sound. Good. Yeah, let's go with that. Let's go here, because once this gets powered, this will play. And let's go for a nice A, and then we'll do something here. Will that be nice? So that will be the sound of a success. That will be the sound of half a success, and then we won't get any sound if it fails. So no sound, the first one failed, no sound again. Okay. What have I done wrong? So the pressure plate is on there, which should power this, which should power this. Let's chuck something on it. Oh. Were we just unlucky? Hello? Does it only work if you throw an item? Hold on. Am I learning something here? No, that is definitely powered. It's not actually powering the dropper. Why is that not powering the dropper? Oh, that did. I'm so confused. I didn't even see any items come out of this. Okay, look. I need to be able to see all of this. Okay, so that definitely briefly worked. Ah, right. Okay, so what I think's happening here is it's not powering the hopper. Normally when I design these, or at least when I've tested them in the past, it's powered the hopper. So if I do this, that looks more like I would expect it to look, where you can see the item in the hopper and then it turns off. I want to see these pistons fire now. So let's test this. Okay, that did not send a signal up here. So let's change this to 2 ticks. There we go. They did fire. They fired very quickly, which I don't think is going to be a problem. Okay, I think this is fine. I think it's fine. We'll treat it like it's fine. And then we'll add in our randomness again. And then we will build the same thing over here. So now that's set up on both sides. I want to test this with the 1 in 20 chance. So each side is a 1 in 20 chance. So there's a 1 in 10 chance of either of them firing, roughly. There's music on both sides as well. Okay. But both of them succeeded? Okay, that's more like what I was expecting. One of the first notes to play. So now you've got to imagine that this arena is full of sheep. The sheep will just be wandering around like they do. They will occasionally push this pressure plate, and then when they do, there is a very small chance that one corner will fire. And the reason for that is, as we explained earlier, we need this to grow at least 3. So these are all 1, this is 2. So this one will get harvested by the piston, but we need it to be 1 block lower in order for the dripstone to fall. And then, we haven't really discussed this part, but the reason we're using sheep here, and the reason we're wanting the dripstone to fall, is because the sheep will slowly be eliminated 1 by 1. So there will be a sheep who wanders over to the middle, pushes this, which will cause a dripstone to fall onto another sheep, and then that sheep is eliminated. So this will be maybe not even ready after the next episode. I have no idea how long this will take or whether it will even work. Maybe the sheep will all just clump around the middle and stay safe. But I'm hoping they will wander around, and I'm hoping the randomness of this is just right so that the dripstone will start growing down a bit further and be in the more dangerous level. So the last thing is for me to build a wall around here so our combatants cannot escape, and then we need to bring them over. And here they are, our stars. Let me just make sure there's 8 of you. Yes, there is. So let's bring you on up. Have we got everyone? Yeah. Now this is a special moment for you all. Can you see how excited they all are? Up we come. And in they go. Wonderful. Oh. So that proved that they can activate it. That's good. And look, I like how they're spreading out. I like that they're having a wander around. And they will occasionally push the pressure plate. Yes, I think this will work quite well. I may need to tweak the randomizer because, like I say, it's going to struggle to allow these to grow long enough for them to be any falling projectiles. But we'll leave this running for quite a while. We'll come back here in a bit and we'll see if these guys have all survived. And the way this Colourlympics will work is if tragedy does strike and one of the sheep is eliminated, their wool will end up in this double chest here, and so we will be able to determine the survival order of these sheep. So the last sheep alive will be deemed the winner and will get a gold medal. If this works. And so here you can see the farm running at 8 times speed. I did change the randomizer ratio to be 1 in 81 on each side, which works okay. However, I did AFK near this farm with replay mod going, so I managed to capture a few deaths. Here we can see Cyan giving the pressure plate a go. But as soon as he moves away, Pink swoops in and oh, what a brutal death. Now let's watch it in slow motion. Pink with the kill here, and a double spike right in the skull. Now here, Red manages to escape that corner and steps on the pressure plate, Orange escapes, and both Pink and Purple go down together. Here we can see another 3 in the corner, Yellow pulls away, Red and Orange still pushing each other a bit, but now Orange has escaped, runs to the centre, and what a calculated kill that was. I didn't capture Green's death, but here we are with the final 3. Orange again moves towards the pressure plate, and Yellow unfortunately moves below the biggest spike we have seen. That is a painful one. And so that brings us to here. I don't mean to leave this segment on an anticlimax, but these 2 sheep just refuse to kill each other. It's partly because obviously with less sheep, there are less activations of the pressure plate, but we are seeing a lot more spikes, so I was expecting a kill at some point. But I am going to have to leave these guys here, and we'll check back in next episode to see who the victor is. Unless we get 1 kill before I have finished editing the video, then I will add it on to the end. You see, he's even avoiding the pressure plate. But we do have some Colourlympics things that we can check out, because we have 3 farms that have been loaded whilst we have been AFKing here. So first, I'd like to check out this sugarcane farm. Firstly, the farm is doing pretty well. Considering there's only, 64 sugarcane in the entire build, I am happy with this. This suits my needs. And then if we check out this barrel, it should be very easy for us to determine the winner. And here we go. Yellow is our winner with 7 wool. We have a 3-way tie for 2nd place, a 3-way tie for 5th, and then unfortunately Green, once again in one of these games, finishes last. Now that was a nice bit of variation, however, these numbers are quite low considering how much I've been AFKing here. So I think for the result today, I am going to comfortably award 3 silver medals. I don't mind having a tie in this instance. However, I'm going to adjust the farm so that next time these trigger a little bit more. So instead of having a 1 in 9 randomizer here, I'll maybe make it a 1 in 5, 1 in 6, something like that. So we get a few more wool. I think with a bit more wool, we will get some more variation. You see, we've got a 7 here, a 3 there. That varies enough for me. We just need some bigger numbers. But yeah, congratulations to Blue, Cyan and Pink, who all quite cheekily get a silver medal. Then if we head on over to the wool farm here, it may look like there's not much wool here, but I actually used this spruce log as a placeholder because we filled up all the stacks up to here. So we've needed an extra shulker here. It's very nice having all of this wool. Now, I actually have a plan for later in the season for a mini game that's going to need a lot of carpets, so I am very glad to have this farm. Also, my trousers are missing. I think when I got spiked in the face, I somehow lost my trousers in the hopper system. So let's turn off this farm so that I can count up the wool. And there we go. Green went from winning the last event to coming last in this one. Today is not Green's day. Pink managed 3rd place, yellow 2nd, and orange is our winner. And now here are the results for the cactus farm. And as always, it amazes me just how consistent cactus growth is. These scores are always incredibly close. But purple managed to win it. And similar to the sugarcane farm, I will give out 3 silver medals to red, cyan and lime. So now let's take a look at the results. And with the combination of us having 3 events and me being quite lenient with the silver places, we've ended up with an episode where every colour got a medal, which is great to see. Now pink has managed to step up and join blue in 1st place. Red is still 3rd, but not as comfortably as before, because yellow with a gold and a silver medal has managed to get 1 point behind. Now cyan has reached double digits, orange, purple and green still have some catching up to do. We're getting a lot more dripstone in this farm, but these sheep are still not trying to kill each other. So now let's head over to the connections game. So as always with the connections game, we will start with last episode's puzzle. If this is your first video of mine that you're seeing, this is based on the New York Times Connections game. So you have to find 4 different groups of 4. And this is the puzzle from last episode. I will go through the answers here and then I will set the puzzle for this episode. To begin with, we have quite a simple category with these 4 plants that can be crafted into red dye. Now there were some other plants in here, so that was a little bit of a tricky one to figure out, but hopefully not too hard. And next up we can select another what, because here we have potion ingredients. Next up we have quite a simple category, but maybe one that's hard to spot. These are simply things that can be found in the nether. And that here leaves us with 4 different mobs, and these are all mobs with red eyes. Now, you may see a theme with all of these items. The last episode, I built a red biome, and so I thought it would be fun to have a puzzle entirely made of red items. And now here we have the puzzle for this episode. As always, this can be found in the description, and I'd love to hear how you did. So the clues are dark oak, no rain, jungle, melon, apple, acacia, meadow, birch, cherry, spruce, plains, oak, armadillo, pumpkin, spotted wolf, and beech. And that does it for today's episode. Unfortunately, orange and blue still survive, so we will have to announce the winner of this event in the following episode. Unless they both survive indefinitely, in which case, it's a draw. Nobody wins. I think next episode I'm either going to work on a shop for the Colourlympics things or start a new minigame. There's 2 projects that I really want to get working on soon, so we'll see which one I feel like doing. But thank you all for watching and take care.